Today I'm going to be sharing a recent release from Holman. This is the Connecting Scripture New Testament, a study Bible of biblical allusions and quotations. It's in the CSB, Christian Standard Bible translation. And this one you see here is the slate leather touch. I'm also going to show you the brown leather touch. I believe there's maybe a hardcover too. Can't remember now, but I think there might be. So it comes in this sleeve. And before we dig into it here, let's just go over the features. So it says it has a robust cross-reference system that highlights Old Testament quotations, allusions, and parallels found in the New Testament. Unique color-coded text design to help quickly identify cross-reference types. Study note commentary explaining the connections between the Old and New Testament. Articles to further highlight and unpack recurring theological themes found between books. Biblical theology-focused charts to aid in detailed study. It has a Smith-sewn binding, lays flat, single-column text format, topical subject headings. It's a 9.25 size font, black letter text. We get 2 ribbon markers, a presentation page, and it is a 6.688 inch by 9.125 inch page size. And this one is developed by, it says, leading biblical theology scholars G.K. Beale and Benjamin Glad, and it helps readers connect the New Testament to the grand narrative and overarching redemption story of the Bible, which I love. I've said that many times. I love Bibles that help you make that connection between the Old and New Testament. It's not just a bunch of books that just, present a good story. It's all interconnected with each other. So this unique and accessible study resource includes a robust cross-reference system that highlights Old Testament quotations, allusions, and parallels within the New Testament and promotes the underlying unity of Scripture. It's also going to have book introductions. We said some of this. Study note commentary, articles, and helpful charts and infographics included throughout to further highlight and explain important theological themes and recurring connections between Old and New Testament books. All right, so now that we've gone through all that, let's take a look at this. So being that it's just the New Testament, it's very slim, so very easy to take on the go should you choose to do so, nice and portable. This is the slate leather touch, which is kind of like a navy blue, it looks like to me. I think it's supposed to be like gray. It's kind of like navy, gray, blue-ish, kind of. But what a great explanation that was. But anyway, to me it looks like navy. I like the grain pattern in this imitation leather. This little design here is nice. Our spine is going to have CSB, New Testament, Christian Standard Bible, and Holman. We have perimeter stitching. I think, we do have 2 ribbon markers. I only untucked one. Oops. So here's the other one. So we're going to get a olive green and navy blue ribbon. They're a little skinnier than you see some typical Bibles, but they're double-sided satin, so they're still pretty nice ribbons here. We have a silver page gilding, a nice paste down liner, presentation page, table of contents. This is an introduction to the CSB Connecting Scripture New Testament. When you first get this, I recommend that you read it because it really goes over what you're going to see in here. It talks about what quotations, allusions, parallels are, and how that connects the New Testament to the Old Testament. So it's very important to read that and understand it before you start using this Bible. And it just goes through a lot of the features that you're going to see here and explains things a little further to help you understand better. Talks about cross-references, prototypes. So definitely something you want to look over. All right, now this is telling us how to use this Bible. This is also very important. I mean, you can, of course, read and use the Bible without, reading about all the features, but if you want to get the most out of a particular Bible and use the features that are included, that the publisher, made this Bible special by including, then you want to check this out. I don't mean every Bible's not special. I just wanted to clarify that. I'm just saying, what do I want to say? Different. It makes it different than some other Bibles. Probably shouldn't say special because, of course, Scripture is always special no matter what is included with it. Okay, so then here it's going to tell you the Old Testament quotations that are found in the New Testament are going to be color-coded in blue. The Old Testament allusions are color-coded in green. And then the study note commentary explaining the connections between the Old and New Testaments. So you're going to see some study notes in there as well at the bottom of the page, like you would see in a typical study Bible. Those aren't color-coded, but just so you know, they're there. Book introductions, there's going to be articles, biblical theology-focused charts. And then we have an introduction to the CSB, abbreviations in CSB Bibles. And then we're going to jump right in. Here is our book introduction for the first book, which is, of course, Matthew. It's going to talk about the author, the message and purpose, and a summary of the Old Testament in Matthew. If I could read, that'd be super helpful. So I just really like how this is connecting the Old Testament and the New Testament. So that was what stood out to me the most about this Bible when I first read about it, which made me really excited to go ahead and get a copy of this. So here you're going to see, we said before, the green allusions are in green, and then quotes are in blue. So when I say allusions and quotes, they're from the Old Testament that are found here in the New Testament. So hopefully that makes sense. 9.25 font size, single columns, pretty easy to read. You're going to get study notes at the bottom of the page, just like a typical study Bible. You have this scripture up here. You have this thin light line here. And then you're going to have the notes at the bottom. Okay, and even in the notes, they're going to have any allusions in green and any quotations from the Old Testament in blue. So here you can see this genealogy. I don't know if you can see that, hopefully, is in green. And the green and the blue are dark enough that it's not bothering my eyes. Sometimes I'm not a fan of red letter text just because it's not consistent or it's not dark enough. I don't see that issue here. This should be, at least to me, has been okay to read so far. And then we're also going to see over here, we have a quote. So here's the blue. Well, you can see that where my finger is right here. So in this case, the quote is, "See, the virgin will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and they will name him Emmanuel." So that's coming from, of course, the Old Testament. It's a direct quote. Here is a hearing the Old Testament in the Gospels chart. It gives, like, for example, this one is God promised a seed to Abraham. And then the Gospels, Jesus, the son of Abraham, the seed. And there's also some scripture verses to go along with each of those to show where that is in there. And then this one's Israel, God's son called out of Egypt. And then Jesus, God's son called out of Egypt. Okay, Passover, lamb's blood was shed to cover the Israelites' doorways. And then the Gospels, we have the Lord's Supper. Jesus' blood was shed to cover the people's sins. So I won't read all of them, but obviously this is a really cool chart to check out. Some pages, there's a lot of study notes here. We have the scripture up here, all the study notes down here. This would be really good to do a study of a particular book in the New Testament. It also would make a really good read through, just to give you a better idea of how the Old Testament and the New Testament are interconnected. The headings are bolded. Chapter numbers are nice and large and bold as well. I don't know that this is one I would take to church only because it's just the New Testament. I mean, you could, like right now my church is doing a study on the book of Philippians, so I would be okay to take this to church right now because we're going through Philippians, so it would of course be in here being that it's in the New Testament. But it would just depend on what you were doing. I will say the green on this page looks a little bit lighter than it did on the other page, so maybe not 100% consistent everywhere. It's still not bad, but it's a little bit lighter there. It's still not like enough of like a deal breaker that I'd be like, oh man, I can't read that. But the blue, I think, seems to be a little bit more consistent than the green. Again, not a deal breaker, still not terrible, but I do see it a little bit there. Okay, here we have an article on eschatology by Benjamin Glad. So eschatology is a study of the last things. Hopefully I'm saying that right. As I said before, not a scholar here, just a girl who loves the Bible sitting at her kitchen table. So please excuse me if I ever don't pronounce things right or I say something that's not, 100% scholarly there. I do try my best, and I do read my Bible every day, but I'm no expert, so I'm sure you're aware of that by now if you've watched the channel long enough. So yeah, definitely a really nice New Testament here. And I just really like this idea of just focusing on the New Testament and how it connects to the Old Testament. This would be a really good study to do on that. And there's some other Bibles out there that do this too, like the Jesus Bible from Zondervan's a good one for that. So yeah, you could definitely use other Bibles along with this to help you study, help you understand better, use the study notes in that as well. I like that this has study notes, and I like that it also has that color coding, because going through this, it did really show me like, wow, there's a lot of quotes and allusions from the Old Testament and the New Testament. I knew they were there, of course, because I've studied the Bible a lot before, but it kind of, this kind of struck me, made me see like how often it actually does happen. I'm like, wow, there's a lot more than I even thought. So it really opened my eyes to that. So I think hopefully it'll do that for others as well. But seeing that, I was like, oh wow, there's a lot in here. Here's an article on creation and new creation. Here, have Philippians. I can take that along with me to church tomorrow to study in Philippians. So here we are. There's a lot of notes in here. Philippians is such a great little book. It's definitely one of my favorites. A lot to unpack in there. Article on Messiah. All right, let's go ahead and go to the back of the Bible. I don't think there's much in the back here, because the majority of it, the bulk is going to be the study notes, and then of course that color coding to help you understand how the New Testament and the Old Testament interconnect, as I've said several times. All right, so then at the end here, if I can turn pages and not bump the camera so much. Okay, we will get to the end of Revelation here. We're going to have an Old Testament index. So all the quotes and allusions in the New Testament that connect to the Old Testament are listed below, and follow the order of the New Testament, like starting in Genesis. The Old Testament, starting in Genesis. That's what I wanted to say. I'll get there. It just takes me a while. I think that's just about it. There's a New Testament index as well. And then there's contributors here. And then we have a couple blank pages. If you wanted to test out any pens or highlighters, it'd be a good place to do it. There's some blank pages in the back here for that. And then we are at the end of the Bible. I don't know if I would highlight in this one. You definitely could. I'm just kind of a little bit OCD with my Bible highlighting, but I don't know how I would feel about the highlighting over the blue and the green text. So I would have to test it out and see how that looks, if you can still read it or everything like that. It would depend on the color of the highlighter, of course. But yeah, you could definitely do some highlighting in here if you wanted to, just test anything out that you want to use maybe on those back pages to test it out. All right, so this is the slate leather touch. Here, this is the exact same content inside, of course, but this is the brown leather touch. I like the slate better. I like it's more like grainy feeling. They're both imitation leather, but it's more like a grainy leather feeling. I don't know if you can see that. While this one, while very nice as well, is more smooth. But this one does kind of look marbled as well, so that's also kind of cool. So I don't dislike either one of them. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably go with the slate, but obviously they're both really nice. And then this one, I didn't untuck the ribbons yet, but it has a black and red ribbon. And then, of course, you're going to have the same content inside. Cover looks pretty much the same, except, of course, the brown versus the slate, which I still say looks more like navy blue, but that might just be my eyes as well. I do like the golden brown on the spine. That looks really nice. So, yeah, these are both great cover options for a great text block. I really like the focus on the connections between the Old Testament and the New Testament. And a lot of times there's not a lot of options. If you're looking for just a New Testament, I was looking for one a couple months ago. I was looking for one that would fit in my purse. And it was hard because all the New Testaments that I found, it was like size 3 font. Now I'm exaggerating a little, of course. It wasn't really a size 3, but man, did it feel like it. It was so small. I'm like, I'm 38, almost 39, and like my eyes aren't terrible yet. I do wear glasses all the time, so they're not like great. But for reading, they're not too bad yet. Most of my vision is like, the far away issues of seeing far away, everything being blurry, far away from me, but nearsighted, I think we call it. So my reading's not too bad yet, but I do prefer a bigger font. It's just more comfortable for me. So I don't need it yet, but I prefer it. So those New Testaments, I was like, whoa, no, like that's too much. Like they were really small. Like I think it was more like a size 6 maybe. But yeah, that's just too small for even me. Like not having bad eyes yet, it's too much. So I like this. It's 9.25. It's not large print by any means, but it's more of an average print. So I feel like I can handle that. And this is still, it's not a compact Bible. It's not teeny tiny in size, but it's really thin. So I could easily slide this into a purse and make it work. Bible cover, of course, it would fit if you wanted it to. But yeah, so definitely one I could take on the go. And it's better than any that I've seen out there. Of course, I haven't looked at everything that's out there, but it's better than a lot of the ones I've seen out there for New Testament options. Plus, you're going to get all those study notes, and you're going to get the quotes and allusions from the Old Testament color-coded in the New Testament. So I thought that was really cool. So if you are interested after seeing this, definitely check it out. I think it's a great option. I think I'm going to do a read-through of it just to so I can see all the connections between the Old and New Testament. I can read all those quotes. I can see them pop out and be color-coded for me. Plus, I get some study notes bonus in there as well. So again, this is the CSB Connecting Scripture New Testament. It is from Holman. Sorry, my dog just barked so loud and I jumped like a mile when he did that. I apologize. I'm trying to end the video and he's like freaking out. Hello, Toby. Say hello to Toby, everyone. He's not quiet. He's 13 years old, and he thinks he's a tiny puppy. As I was saying, this is the CSB Connecting Scripture New Testament from Holman, and I hope my dog didn't jump scare you too much like he just did me.